Oh, I'm not looking forward to taking those off.
Hey, welcome back to Tripod's Garage. Yes, you do see the CR6-SE behind me. I haven't used it in about 2 months since my last review. Thought it printed really well, and hardware is just, it looks great. But the electronics is where it falls short, and literally shorts out. And had some problems with the main board, as well as the little switch for the power on and off. Did have some correspondence back and forth with Creality, couldn't work things out. So I decided to take matters into my own hands, and in between that time, BIGTREETECH actually released a direct plug-and-play board. It's the BIGTREETECH SKR CR6V1. I did purchase this board on my own. They're not sponsored. I just want to get this machine up and running. And TH3D sent me a power switch replacement. This power switch is only like $4, and it's we're going to go ahead and replace that as well. So let's go ahead and dive in and replace the board and the switch.
As I mentioned, it's been sitting around for about 2 months, so yeah, it's about time I go ahead and just clean this up a little bit before we do our board swap and switch swap. Now, I do have an air compressor, but it's all the way on the other side of the garage. I didn't feel like unpacking it. I'm not a big fan of these compressed air in a bottle type of thing. I think it's kind of a waste of money, but I did pull the trigger and said, you know what, I'll just go ahead and use one this time. Do have some Swiffers laying around. I think those are really good to clean off your machines with. I'm not a fan of using chemicals or anything. It's great to use these on like your rollers and everything. So I just want to make sure all the surfaces are nice and clean before I get going. And once we're done with this, we'll go ahead and start the disassembly of the machine and remove this little hair there and proceed forward. Now we want to make sure the machine's unplugged, and we're going to just pop off this spool holder. It's pretty easy to get off because unfortunately we're going to be laying the machine outside. Go ahead and also remove the SD if you have it in there. Alright, so as I said, this is the SKR CR6V1 from BIGTREETECH. Let's go ahead and open up the box and see what you get. It's pretty standard what you get, and with it, everything seems to be packed up pretty well here. You got your USB cable, pretty short, so you get your heat sinks. It's held on with double-sided tape, and a little business card, just with some QR codes on it, no big deal. And of course you get your little rubber ducky. Squeezing, and it's not squeaking. I think it's defective. It will not squeak, will not squeak. Gotta bang it to make it squeak. I think it's defective. I'm gonna call them about that. Okay, something's going on here. I just picked up this bag and I heard something sliding around in it. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Something's definitely loose in here. So just taking a quick look, and let's see. Oh, and there it is. You got some broken plastic right where the connectors are. Wow, that's a little irritating. I mean, come on. It's not good. Well, let's go ahead and open it. It should still be able to use it. It just sucks that you buy something new and it arrives broken, even though it's just something as fundamental as some clips. So it should still work. Not really going to go over any of the specs here. It is a 32-bit board with 2209 drivers. Basically, it's like I said, it's a direct swap for what you're replacing it with. All the holes and everything line up. So here's those little plastic pieces that fell out of the bag. Now with all BIGTREETECH, apply the heat sink, so we are just going to peel the tape, and then we're going to apply it right onto the 2209 driver chip. Now this is standard for all of them, and I would really like to see some better adhesive for these, because this board is actually going to be upside down in the casing, so I just hope they stay. I don't know if they will. Maybe I could check later on. Now we're going to take apart the control box. I only see one screw on the top, but yet I see this other screw hole with a missing screw. I don't know if your machines are like that, but let's go ahead and remove this one screw on the top, and then we're going to proceed to take out the screws on the bottom. Go ahead and remove your tool tray. Mine says foam insert. Now, I'm not a fan, again, of laying machines on the side, but I had this piece of foam. If you can, just go ahead and lay it on its side off the bench or tabletop. Now we're going to just go ahead and remove all the screws from underneath and open up the control box. Be careful removing the cover, and you can just go ahead and unplug the fan and set the cover off to the side. It would be a good time to take a picture of all the wiring. It's actually very simple and straightforward. Everything just goes where it was before. So it's not rocket science, but it's always a good opportunity to take a picture before you take anything apart, or even record everything as you're doing it. Now, Creality must have like some stock and hot glue, because I just don't understand why they need to put on so much of it. Now, I just usually take an X-Acto knife and gently persuade the glue off. And actually, I just, cut along the side of the glue, and typically that works for me. Others can try doing a different method, but done this before, and you do have a risk of damaging your board if you're not careful enough. So I've seen other people use a heat gun as well just to loosen the glue, but this is, again, what works for me. May not work for you. Now I'm actually just going to remove the 4 screws holding this board in place before I remove the rest of the connectors. So again, you can just choose the way that you want to do it for yourself, but I'm seeing how tight it is on the right hand side, so I'm just opting to remove the 4 screws that are in place. So really, Creality, how much hot glue do you need? These were an absolute pain to get off, but nevertheless, I got it done. Now let's move on to the next step. So I'm unscrewing the leads for the power, the negative and positive, and I see that Creality decided to tin the ends. Not a wise choice. I would like you to comment below why you would not want to do this in this scenario. So these are, again, for the power, so now let's go ahead and remove it for the heated bed and see if they did the same thing. And I most likely believe they did, because why stop with just the 2? Yep, all 4 are done. So now I need to order something. As I'm waiting for my shipment to arrive, there's been on the forums about these boards shorting out due to the low standoffs. I don't know about that. You would have to put a lot of pressure on these boards for it to, short out. So just for anyone that's going to watch this video, I'm going to put this wire and harness tape on the back of this plate, so this way, someone can't say, well, you should have done it. Well, I just don't see it happening, but just to make the people on the forums happy, I'm going to do this step. It didn't cost me that much time to do. So my package arrived the next day. Gotta love Amazon Prime. I think we're all living on it. But hey, this Ferrule crimping toolkit is a really good deal. I mean, not only do you get the crimping tool, but you also get this huge assortment of 1,800 ends for this. I mean, I really don't know if I'll use them all in my lifetime, but you know what? It's great to have something like this in your tool assortment. So, yep. Usually I don't get too many complaints from the wife when I buy tools, especially for this price. And this is actually pretty good quality. I mean, it's got some great reviews. It's ratcheting, and look at that. You squeeze it, and look at it. It applies equal pressure on all 4 corners. This is pretty darn cool. I should have bought this a long time ago, but I just really thought I never had the need, but now I do. So awesome. Now we're going to go ahead and snip off the tinned ends of these wires, and because there's not much length of these left. And then we're going to go ahead and strip them. And we want to make sure that you feel the strands of the wires, because what could happen is when they're tinning the ends of these is that the solder could actually wick up from underneath. And if that happens, you're going to have to cut it back again. So you'll see actually on this wire right here, still has solder. If this happens, we're going to need to go ahead and cut the wire again and strip it until we get these type of ends for all of them. I want to make sure that you see all the strands, and then what we're going to do is go ahead and twist the ends and get ready to get the ferrules put on them. Ideally, you're going to want to have enough wire stripped off where you put the ferrule on and the wire is almost literally at the end here. You can barely see it right there, but yeah, this wire is definitely ready. So what I'm going to do is put the crimping tool over it and make sure you do not crimp the casing, the plastic one at the bottom. So I'm pushing it down a little bit and checking on the other side before I squeeze the trigger here and crimp it. This is pretty cool. Look at that. I love this tool. Let's go ahead and get the other four done. And you'll notice that one of the wires I'm going to have to strip back a little bit further. That's the red one in the back. Now that we have the ferrules on the ends, we're going to go ahead and snip this cable tie. This way we have more room to put the wires and connectors on. I went in and attached the bed and the power. So let's go ahead and show you where everything goes. I will provide links below in the description. This way you could use the diagram that's provided by BIGTREETECH. Now we're going to just assemble everything back together. There will be 4 screws that we're going to put back on, and these should be just nice and snug. No reason to over torque these, or it's not going to go anywhere. And then we're going to apply a tie wrap. And then once we're all done, everything should look nice and factory, like we didn't do anything. Perfect. Now we're going to replace the power switch. To do this, we're going to remove the 6 screws that's holding in this big bottom panel, and then we're going to remove this ground screw. Be careful when you remove this ground screw because there's a washer right behind that screw. We are removing this screw so we can loosen this cable. It's very taut. And then we're going to remove the switch itself. It takes 2 Allen screws to remove this. Now remove the switch, and then we're going to just take out the 2 ends that are attached to the switch. Now this could get a little tricky. There's a squeeze connector that you're going to want to put like a flathead or 2 Allen keys in, and then you're going to push them in, one on both ends, and then push the switch out from the bottom, and then it'll be able to pop the whole switch out. This switch was a kind of a pain to remove. It's a little gouged up, but that's okay. It's going in the trash where it belongs. Now we're going to replace it with the one I received from TH3D. It's only about $4, but this is definitely a lot better quality component than what was, installed on this machine prior. Just listen to this. I mean, it sounds good if the switch feels good, and what I mean by feels good, it doesn't have like a mushy feel to it. It's just switch on and off. So go ahead and plug it all back in. We'll put the screws in, and let's start the reassembling process. Again, don't forget that washer that's on this ground cable, because it was there, and you want to make sure it's still there. Let's go ahead and finish the assembly. Now we're going to plug in the cooling fan. There's 2 ports. It could go in either ports. I did put the description below for BIGTREETECH's website, and it has a wiring diagram right there. So let's finish the assembly. All right, let's plug it in and turn it on. Man, that switch feels and sounds so much better. Now, when you turn it on, either you're going to be relieved or you're going to be disappointed. Chances are you'll be relieved because all the controls are identical. Nothing has changed here. I mean, you can hit control, all the menus, and everything looks identical. Now, the only thing that you'll see that's different, if you click on info, it says firmware versions, BTT, SKR, CR6 version 1.0, and the contact details. Now, if you want to upgrade the firmware on this board, you have to go through BIGTREETECH's website. For the display, it's through Creality. So, if you click on level, you'll see that the leveling and everything is identical. It would be nice if at least this was sped up a little bit between probes, you know, but and that didn't happen. And this is actually sped up by 20 times, so it's not that fast in real time. So let's go ahead and wait for this to finish probing for the mesh, and let's get our first test prints out. Yeah, this one was my fault. I should have checked the temperature in the garage before printing. Definitely a little bit too cold to print this Christmas ornament. Oh well, maybe next time.
Well, I guess the biggest question is, how does it print? Well, the display looks identical, and we replaced the board. You know, it's Creality and their glue, man. I'm telling you, that's I don't know, but you know, it says it passed, but I don't know if I trust it. So that's the whole reason why we went with the BIGTREETECH. So how's it print? Let's take a look at this benchy. A few little strings on the inside, but solid boat. I mean, it just a few little wisps. So pulled it off a little bit when it was still not ready to come off. So, but how's it compared to the original? So there's this little notch right there. Everything be hard for us to tell anything. It looks great. It really does. How about the dog? What's that? Okay, just some stuff. All right. Looks good. Looks really, really good. It fell on the floor. Overhangs look good. I mean, yeah, this little string right there, a little wisp, but awesome. Oh, my dinosaur fell over, or as they call it, a dragon. Well, this was the one I just printed, and this was the original. And you can see the tail. Looks like the end came out better. But I also had a better first layer. So, oh, that was just a little bit of stringy right there. That was a hair or something, but I don't have hair, so. This is really flexible compared to the first one. You can see that there was some stringing on the inside, but this one doesn't have almost any. You can see some down there, right down in there. But honestly, it's not as much as the other one. But you know what? That could have been temperature or something. I'm not about to say that this board prints better than the stock one, considering what the benchies look like. So I'll just say that to me, they seem pretty equal. So, but as for print quality, I think it's basically the same. Well, replacing the board and a power switch was pretty easy. Unfortunately, with Creality and their infinite wisdom, they decided, oh, we're going to go ahead and tin the leads for the power and the heated bed. Now, I could have just snipped off the end, stripped the wire, twisted the leads, and put it in the board, but no, I decided to make sure it was done right, and I got this, Ferro crimping toolkit. It has 1,800 pieces. I doubt that I'll ever use all of them, but it's great to, to have just for those future projects. Now, of course, you're wondering, did replacing the board and the switch solve all the issues I was having? Well, I don't know. I never had any problems with BIGTREETECH's boards. I have them in multiple machines, and the switch that was provided for by TH3D has a very solid click to it. I don't hear any arcing, and the terminal ends are nice and secure. And for $4 for that switch, I would definitely suggest at the minimum replacing that switch. So, yeah, I mean, everything is true plug and play. This board by BIGTREETECH is only for this machine, so it's not to be used in any other machines. It's proprietary. And when I turned on everything just worked. Display all looked the same. The only thing that was different was the version number and it said BIGTREETECH. Now, I was kind of disappointed in a way, because I was kind of hoping that by replacing this board, that it would unlock, some advanced features in the display. That does not happen. Now, with that being said, with BIGTREETECH and Creality, you're going to be looking for two different firmware sources for updates. One with BIGTREETECH and one with Creality for the display. So just wanted to keep that in mind. Now, I still have some little weird issues like the bed leveling, the mesh I still have some high and low spots. So still haven't gotten that worked out yet. And plus, if I cancel the print on the first couple layers, the nozzle still drags across the glass, and it's unfortunate. It should, at least, if you cancel the print, should raise up the nozzle and then move it to the home position. So I really hope that you found this video informative, and if you could please like, subscribe, and all the other nonsense that other YouTubers ask you to do, that would be great. And thank you for tuning in to Tripod's Garage. Have a wonderful day, weekend, night, or whenever you decide to watch this video. Thank you, and have a good one.
Hey, what is that? Huh? You don't like the puppy? Is that the puppy? Huh?